Let me ask you something that no one ever dared to ask you with honesty. What if wealth isn't slow because of the system, but because of your mind? What if the speed you seek is possible, but it feels illegal only because it violates everything the average person believes is safe? You've been conditioned to think that making money must take decades, that if it comes too fast, it must be a scam. But let me open your eyes to a truth you were never supposed to see. The fastest money in the world is made by those who understand one thing: control. Not control over others. Control over yourself. Control over your time. Control over your process. And above all, control over your reaction to the illusion of speed. When I built my fortune brick by brick, hour by hour, people called me many things. Ruthless, cold, even manipulative. They said it must be illegal. Why? Because I earned more in one day than most of them would see in a year. But they never saw the truth. They never saw the machinery behind the curtain. And that's what I'll reveal to you today. Because if you understand what I understood, if you apply what I practiced, you'll realize that making money fast is not magic. It is a system, a patient, quiet, meticulous system that operates with divine discipline. Now listen carefully. This system is not about working harder, not about waking up at 4 a.m. and screaming affirmations in the mirror. It's about removing everything that slows you down. It's about making your money machine so efficient, so precise, that it feels like cheating. But it's not. Let me take you back to when I was 16. I wasn't the richest. I wasn't the smartest. But I was already the most obsessed with order. Every cent I earned, I tracked. Every move I made, I documented. While others were chasing luck, I was building discipline. While they gambled, I studied patterns. That was my advantage. And it still is yours, you see. Wealth is not a lottery, it is an equation. And most of you are violating the formula with your chaos. You chase new ideas every week. You consume more content than you execute. You confuse speed with noise. But real speed, the speed that makes money flow in ways that seem unfair, is quiet, calculated, invisible. The richest man in the room is never the loudest, because his money works, while he disappears into strategy. So let me challenge your belief. Do you want fast money, or do you want fast noise? Because if it's real speed, you seek the kind that builds empires, not just dopamine. Then you must become the kind of person that can hold it, not the kind that explodes the moment it arrives. There's a reason why I never chased attention. While others boasted, I optimized. While others tried to appear rich, I became unbreakable. Because, in the world of money, power is not lauded, is invisible leverage. Let me teach you how to build it first. Eliminate everything that dilutes your results. This includes people, distractions, and even business ideas that look good but don't scale. Your environment must be sterilized. Nothing chaotic grows wealth, only systems do. Next, you must switch your brain from the consumer mode to the builder's mode. Most people are addicted to learning, but very few are addicted to executing the boring parts. And that's where I won. You think making money fast is about finding the one right strategy, but I'll tell you the truth. It's about doing one thing with precision until it becomes a machine. I built Standard Oil not with 100 ideas, but with one perfected system, repeated across states, then nations. I saw every barrel, I tracked every penny, and I reinvested every dollar. That was the rhythm. That was the symphony. And now, here's the irony. Once the system is built, the money flows so consistently that outsiders say, it can't be real. It must be a scam. It feels illegal. But it's not. It's just disciplined. I want you to reflect on something right now. How many systems have you built in your life that make money without you watching every second? Be honest, because unless your answer is more than one, you're not in the fast lane yet. You're still building a bicycle in a race of jets. Let's go deeper. Speed in wealth is the byproduct of removal. remove emotional reactions, remove poor partners, remove offers that don't scale, remove complexity, because what remains is clarity, and clarity prints money. When I started, I didn't wait for luck. I made decisions like a surgeon. I trimmed what didn't grow, and I became the man who made $500,000 per day in today's money. Not by chasing, but by refining. Let that sink in. Because you're not stuck, you're just scattered. So here is your shift from this moment. Stop trying to make money fast. Start building something that's so efficient, so self-replicating, so unshakably optimized, that wealth has no choice but to flow faster than you can spend it. That's not a fantasy. That's Rockefeller's law of velocity. Speed is not in the hustle. Speed is in the structure. If you're ready to break the illusion and enter the real fast lane, say it out loud. I choose structure over noise. I choose wealth that lasts. You want fast money? Then you need to understand this. Money doesn't chase speed. It chases systems. And those systems must be so tight, so refined, that they almost run themselves. That's how I made my fortune grow, without constantly watching over it. Because once a machine is perfectly calibrated, it prints value on its own. It no longer needs you. It obeys the laws of repetition, leverage, and demand. Let's break this down. At the core of my empire was something no one talks about enough: silent power. I didn't crave visibility, I craved predictability. I didn't want to be everywhere. I wanted my system to be everywhere for me. You call it passive income. I called it operational sovereignty. While others chased manual labor, I built repeatable leverage. While others changed industries every quarter, I mastered one vertical to a level of precision that no competitor could match. And once I had domination, I turned my eyes to automation, not through technology at the time, but through people, protocol, and performance incentives. You have access to something even more powerful today: software, platforms, data, AI, distribution, channels that I never dreamed of. And yet, the reason most of you are broke isn't lack of tools, it's lack of order. Let me be very clear. A business that depends on your constant input is a job in disguise. And jobs don't make you rich. But a business that operates while you sleep, that prints revenue. While you focus on vision, that's a system. You want to feel like you're making money illegally. Then build a system so efficient, so clean, so unbreakable, that it offends the lazy, because that's what this is really about. When your income is automated, when your offers convert, when your clients stay, when your expenses are controlled, when your data is clear, that's when the game changes. Now let me tell you how I built this machinery. I started by creating one value engine that could be scaled. In my case, it was oil refinement. In your case, it may be a service, a product, a course, a media property. It doesn't matter. What matters is this. You must identify the one activity that produces the highest margin with the least variability. And then you triple down. Every hour spent outside of that zone is wasted. Every product that doesn't support that engine is a distraction. Every team member who can't amplify that process is a liability. This is how I operated. While others diversified too early, I standardized. I built an empire on repetition, not reinvention. But here's the secret I never revealed publicly. I didn't just build for the present. I built for replication. Every process in my company was documented, optimized, then scaled, and each branch of my business followed the same blueprint. It was almost boring in its predictability. That's what wealth is. Wealth is not exciting. It is engineered boredom that produces extraordinary results. And today, you can replicate that faster than I ever could. You have tools that can track every click, analyze every behavior, automate every transaction. But you must approach them like a Rockefeller, with surgical precision, not shallow enthusiasm. Let's go further. If you want systems that print money without noise, then you must become obsessed with removing friction. Every step that slows your user, every delay in fulfillment, every unclear message, every financial leak, every wasted ad dollar, every unsent email, all of it is your enemy. Because money flows to clarity, and clarity is created through systems. So here's what I want from you. I want you to go into your business or your idea, if that's all you have, and begin asking one question relentlessly. What can I remove? Not what can I add? Because the world taught you to believe that more is better. But Rockefeller teaches you this: less but perfected is unstoppable. Now, ask yourself, do you have clear onboarding for your clients? Do you have automatic upsells? Do you have a recurring offer? Do you have a dashboard that shows your exact numbers daily? Do you know your acquisition cost, your churn, your cash flow ratio? If not, you don't have a business. You have a hustle, and hustles don't scale. They burn, they drain, and they trap you in the illusion of speed, while real wealth escapes. So build your machine. Use modern tools to track everything. Refine your delivery until it's frictionless. Automate what doesn't require your genius. And most of all, make your money move without your presence. When that happens, you'll understand what I mean by silent power. It's the power to earn in the background, to accumulate without noise, to command without shouting. That's when people start saying, he must be doing something shady. Because they can't understand how you're scaling without screaming. But you'll know the truth. You're not cheating, you're simply using a system they never had the discipline to build. And that's why this feels illegal, because you built something sacred while they were chasing hype. Let me ask you now, what part of your life still depends on chaos? Comment below with this declaration: I'm building a system, not chasing attention. Let's make it clear for the world to see. You're not here to hustle endlessly. You're here to engineer your legacy, powerfully, eternally. Everyone wants fast money, but almost no one is willing to become the kind of person who can hold it. Why? Because fast money magnifies your inner world. It exposes your addictions, your fears, your impulse to self-sabotage. It will not fix you, it will amplify you. That's why, before the money comes, you must forge a steel mind. One that can endure pressure without panic. One that can delay gratification for strategic gain. One that can look at chaos and remain still. You want money so fast it feels illegal. Then become so emotionally grounded that you stop reacting to noise and start directing energy. I called this spiritual ruthlessness, not cruelty, clarity. A clarity so deep it looks cold to the undisciplined. Let me explain. When I walked into a negotiation, I didn't hope to win. I had already won in my spirit. I had already detached from the outcome. I didn't need the deal, because my power wasn't in the transaction. It was in my state of mind. You must understand this. Money doesn't follow need. It follows certainty. And certainty is a spiritual condition. It's born from inner structure, not outer noise. It's the calm knowing that whether the market rises or crashes, your discipline remains unshaken. I've seen men lose fortunes simply because they couldn't sit still. They couldn't resist the urge to act out of fear. And so they exited too early, bet too big, chased too fast. They confused movement with momentum. But I did something different. I prayed, I planned, I waited. I moved when the timing was aligned. And when I did move, I moved with such conviction that the market followed me. Let that be your new standard. Do not move until your spirit is ready, because any action taken from anxiety will drain your wealth. But action born from alignment that creates money so fast, it shakes the room. Here's what most people miss. They work hard, they learn strategies, they chase opportunities, but they never master themselves. And that's why their money slips away, because no strategy survives a weak mind. You want real wealth. Then become emotionally sovereign. Train your nervous system to remain at peace in the middle of storms. Breathe when others break. Pause when others panic. And execute with sacred precision. That is the Rockefeller way. You see, I didn't grow up with wealth. but I grew up with faith. And faith is not a Sunday concept. Faith is a business weapon. Faith lets you invest when others retreat. Faith lets you double down when the crowd flees. Faith turns down short-term gains for long-term dominance. And this faith, this quiet, spiritual confidence became the secret engine behind my fortune. While others looked for external validation, I looked upward. While they chased praise, I chased divine order, because I knew no amount of hustle could compete with a soul that is centered. No amount of noise could outperform a man led by inner silence. And this is where the legal feeling money begins. It begins the moment your mind no longer needs dopamine to stay focused. When your body obeys discipline even when results are not immediate. When you walk away from things that look profitable but smell wrong, you want acceleration. Then you must go deeper, not wider. Clear your soul. Simplify your life. Tame your ego and watch how the universe begins to conspire in your favor. Because what you attract is not based on what you want, it's based on who you are. So, become the person who attracts money with stillness. Become the architect who doesn't just make dollars but multiplies impact. The men who built empires never shouted. They whispered to reality with aligned actions. They spoke in structure. They moved in grace. And wealth came not because they forced it, but because they became the type of vessel that wealth trusts. Let me ask you a direct question. Are you spiritually ready to receive what you say you want? If the answer is no, don't chase more tactics. Clean your temple, cut your emotional leaks, and return to order. When you walk in that level of alignment, you will witness something divine, opportunities chasing you. Clients converting easy, money flowing faster than ever before, and it will scare you. Because it will feel unearned. It will feel illegal, but it's not. It is simply the reward for finally becoming the kind of person who can hold, direct, and multiply divine wealth. Now that you've understood the power of spiritual clarity and internal sovereignty, it's time to face another truth. Speed comes from subtraction, not addition. I made more money by eliminating than by expanding. More by saying no than by saying yes. More by focusing on one perfected thing than by chasing 10 opportunities. Most people never build wealth because they're drowning in complexity. Too many tools, too many tasks, too many thoughts. And in that noise, money disappears. But Rockefeller operated differently. I weaponized simplicity. Every process, every deal, every operation, I stripped it down until nothing remained but pure utility. No decoration, no distraction. Just clean function. And here's what I discovered. Simplicity scales. Complexity stalls. You want a business that makes money faster than your competitors? Then design it to do fewer things better. You want operations that run without chaos? Then remove every step that doesn't produce cash or clarity. Here's how I applied this. In the early days of Standard Oil, we didn't compete by being the loudest. We competed by being the most efficient. Our refineries wasted less. Our logistics were tighter. Our expenses were ruthlessly optimized. We saved a few cents per barrel, and those cents, when compounded across millions of barrels, became billions of dollars. That is the math of wealth, not big wins. Small efficiencies, repeated relentlessly. You can apply this today. Look at your calendar. How many hours are consumed by tasks that don't drive results? Look at your offers. Are they confusing your customers or guiding them to one clear outcome? Look at your team. Are they aligned with one vision, or are they improvising in chaos? Every point of confusion costs you speed. And speed is not about rushing. Speed is about frictionless execution. That's what made my company look like it was printing money illegally. Because, while others chased growth by adding, we chased velocity by refining. I'll give you a powerful metaphor. Building wealth is like engineering a bullet train. The train doesn't go faster by adding more cars. It goes faster by reducing drag, smoothing the tracks, optimizing the engine. It's about precision, not volume. Your life and business are no different. Every app you use, every piece of content you consume, every mentor you follow, every product you sell, if it's not accelerating your velocity, it's slowing you down. I used to ask my managers one question: what can we remove this week? Not what can we launch? Not what's the next campaign? But what can we eliminate? Because I understood, speed isn't just about how fast you move, it's about how clean your path is. And here's the paradox. When you strip away the clutter, money flows in easier. Your conversions go up, your fulfillment becomes predictable, your costs shrink, your clarity increases, and your mind finally becomes a weapon of precision. That's when others look at your results and whisper, "There's no way this is legal," but it is. It's just that you've removed the distractions that keep most people poor. Let's apply this now. Start with these questions. What part of your business or life feels heavy, bloated, or confusing? What would happen if you removed it completely? What's the one offer, one system, one message you can perfect instead? Then take one full day, not to add, but to delete. Clear your offers. Simplify your onboarding. Automate your reporting. Cut any expense that doesn't create leverage. You don't need more to get rich. You need less but better. Now here's where the true acceleration begins. Because once you achieve operational simplicity, once your systems are clean, once your decisions are frictionless, you enter the compounding phase. Your money compounds. Your time compounds. Your brand compounds. Your focus compounds. And that's when wealth starts arriving so consistently, so predictably, it doesn't even surprise you anymore. You'll wake up one morning and realize you're not chasing money. You're directing it. That is the wealth curve. And the curve bends not to the loudest, but to the most efficient. I want you to embody this now. Don't just simplify once. Make simplicity your default operating system. Because the cleaner your foundation, the higher your tower can rise. And when your foundation is clean, your growth feels almost unfair. You'll close deals faster. You'll retain customers longer. You'll scale operations wider. And you'll do it all with less effort than those still caught in complexity. Want money that flows fast enough to look suspicious? Then fall in love with boring systems. Cherish quiet excellence. Protect your focus like your fortune depends on it, because it does. Now let me ask you again. What's one thing you can remove right now that's slowing your ascent? Write it down. Eliminate it. Feel the lift, because that lift is the very thing most people spend decades chasing. And you created it in silence, with structure, with ruthless simplicity. Now that you've built the system, the structure, and the inner foundation, there's one final truth you must embrace, or all of it will rot from the inside. Money that doesn't serve something greater begins to decay. You see, wealth without purpose is just accumulation. And accumulation without direction becomes suffocation. But when you assign your capital a mission, that's when money begins to move in divine cycles. People often forget this, but I never saw my fortune as mine. I saw it as a stewardship, a divine responsibility to multiply value in the world, not just in my banks, but in souls, in systems, in civilizations. You want to make money so fast it feels illegal. Then here is the final law. Give it a purpose so sacred that the universe accelerates your rewards. I didn't wait until I was old to give. I created the Rockefeller Foundation while my businesses were still growing. Why? Because I understood the law of return. Not just financial return, but spiritual alignment. When your money serves more than just your ego, it begins to multiply with grace. You build faster because your why is bigger than yourself. You endure longer because your mission energizes your discipline. You attract partners, allies, resources, because people can feel when your capital has a soul. And here is the secret. I never wrote in any ledger, the most scalable system in the world is generosity. I gave not to be praised, but because giving keeps you sharp. It reminds you that you are a conduit, not a container. and containers stagnate. But conduits flow. Every time I gave away wealth, something incredible happened. New deals opened. New clarity arrived. New velocity emerged. Because giving is not loss. It is circulation. It is sending a signal to the divine that you are ready for more. Not to hoard, but to expand impact. And today, this principle applies even more. You have the ability to build impact businesses. You can link your profits to causes. You can design ecosystems where clients win, communities rise, and your legacy compounds. But this takes courage. Because when money starts flowing, your first instinct will be to protect, to guard, to hoard. But that's fear speaking. And fear shrinks. Love expands. Let me be clear, I'm not asking you to give irresponsibly. I'm teaching you to reinvest with moral intelligence, build schools, fund research, feed minds, not just mouths, design products that heal, not just sell. This is where money begins to feel sacred, not flashy, not fake, not empty, but powerful, precise, pure. And when others see your results, they won't understand. They'll say, how does she grow this fast? How does he always land on his feet? What is their secret? And you'll smile. Because the secret isn't in the code or the strategy. It's in the alignment. When your income, your systems, your mind, and your mission move in the same direction, you become unstoppable. You bend reality. You command a frequency that others can't replicate. And that's why this feels illegal. Because it breaks every average rule. It defies every small mindset. It violates the lazy logic of the masses. But it honors a higher law, the law of divine leverage. So here is how you close this loop. Take your profits and reinvest them into 3 things. Optimization. Keep making your system smoother, faster, tighter. Multiplication. Scale your impact through people, platforms, and processes. Elevation. Fund missions that lift others while you build. And in doing this, you create a cycle so powerful that money becomes a byproduct, not the goal. That's how I lived, and that's why I never feared losing. Because I wasn't chasing money. I was channeling meaning. And now I pass this to you. You've built the structure. You've forged the mind. You've aligned the systems. Now use the wealth, not just to live, but to lift. Because the final proof that your money is pure is this. It transforms more than just your life. It elevates, it liberates, it echoes. And when that happens, when your money moves with mission, it doesn't just grow. It glows. Now go and build something so sacred, so efficient, so generous that the world whispers in awe. They must be doing something illegal. But you'll know the truth. You're just playing a bigger game. One of discipline, one of simplicity, one of power, one of purpose. And if this message reached your soul, then share it with someone who's ready, not to hustle, but to build. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. Because this is not just a channel. It's a movement of builders. Of those who no longer chase but construct. No longer beg but command. No longer react but lead. Welcome to the Rockefeller way. Let's rise quietly, powerfully, eternally.